Hello class, we're looking at the ear. We're looking at the ear, and we're going to start with the overview of the ear and some anatomy of the ear. Okay, the three major areas of the ear are the external ear, which is for hearing on it. That's the outer ear, and that area there extends from out here to the eardrum, tympanic membrane. Then the middle ear is involved here. That's the middle ear where you'll find the bones, malleus, incus, and stapes. And both of these are for hearing. And then we go to the inner ear where you'll find the cochlea, the vestibule, and the semicircular canals. And that's involved with hearing, but also for balance. Okay? Equilibrium. All right. So as we look at the external ear, here we have the auricle. That's the area on the outside there, which you call the ear. Here's the helix, that area there. This here is elastic cartilage underlying this skin here. And here's the helix right there. Okay. Here's the external acoustic meatus, or some would call it external auditory meatus, or ear canal in simple terms. And what the ear canal has is primarily, it's about 2.5 centimeters long, and it does have some glands. It does have some glands there. Let's go here, and we'll come back to that. So here would be it has hairs. Some ears have hairs. It has some glands. It has both pseudorubrous and sebaceous. Cerumen, which is your earwax, is made by apocrine sweat glands. And that, of course, lubricates the ear canal, keeps insects out, so forth like that, dust and various things like that. And then as it's formed, it drops out. Okay. So when we look at the ear, I want to go back here and show you that the ear really is located in this temporal bone. Here's that external acoustic meatus, or auditory meatus, in the temporal bone there. And then I'm going to go here to this other skull shot, and I'm going to say here's the temporal bone and all of the ear components, internal ear, because right here is the internal acoustic meatus, and that's where the cranial nerve 8, the vestibulocochlear nerve, will go into the brain. So your ear is being protected under this right here, which we'll call the petrous ridge of the temporal bone. All those the internal ear, middle ear area are all being protected. So I wanted to show you that there. You see, and again here we are with a picture of the ear. Okay. So again, we're looking at the external ear. Now here is a more detailed picture, but you don't need this, of the external ear anatomy, naming several of the areas there. But the more simplistic picture is absolutely fine for that particular aspect there. All right, so now what we're going to do, we're going to peer into the ear canal. See, we started here. This was the ear canal, histology of that. Now, I'm going to theoretically take out a otoscope and peer into the ear canal, looking at the tympanic membrane. This is what we would see. This is the eardrum right there. So we're looking at that tympanic membrane there. Okay. So then I come and I say, so here we are again, we're peering there. What is the construct of the eardrum? And the construct of the eardrum is the outer part of the eardrum, which you would be looking at with the otoscope, is a cutaneous membrane, which is skin. Then in the middle is a fibrous layer, fibrous connective tissue layer, and then on the inner area would be a mucous membrane. Mucous membrane. These would be the cartilage and so forth, and bone of the compact bone of the temporal there to show you. Okay. So the tympanic membrane, known as the eardrum, is the boundary again between the external ear and the middle ear. We talked about the membrane that it has. It's a three-layer membrane, external cutaneous, fibrous middle, and a mucous membrane on the inside. And what it does is transfer sound energy. It vibrates, obviously, pushes in and out, vibrates, and transfers that to the middle ear bones that we're going to chat with, the middle ear bones. Okay? So then what the middle ear basically is, so now we're looking at the middle ear. So we go in here, we go back. Here would be that middle ear. That middle ear here, that's the tympanic membrane, is going to have three bones that we're going to look at. Three bones. It's the air-filled mucosal line in the temporal bone, by the flank laterally by the eardrum, and medially by this area here, some windows, which are called the round window and the oval. The oval is where one of the bones is going to push on, that we're going to speak on in just a second there. Okay, here's the middle ear. Before we get to the bones, we're going to talk about some other areas of it. Here is the epitympanic recess. You see, that's the area above those bones there. And then we got the mastoid antrum. The mastoid antrum is an entrance that is hard to see into the mastoid air cells. The mastoid air cells, which would be these here. And I'm going to get a better picture of those mastoid air cells. Here again is the middle ear. Here's those mastoid air cells. And there's an entrance into this, those mastoid air cells and the mastoid antrum. And sometimes you can get those, the mastoid, here's the mastoid process at the under at the inferior aspect of the skull, but you can get an inflammation there, mastoiditis in there. And then what attaches to this here is the sternocleidomastoid muscle, just to orientate you as to where we are. Okay. Now another area in this middle ear is this what we call the Eustachian tube. It goes by different names. Pharyngeal Tympanic Tube. And where this goes is this leads from the middle ear, come here, to this opening right here, right there, in that nasopharynx. And what it does, it equilibrates the pressure in the middle ear. Most of the time, the tube is flattened and closed, but it can. But if you swallow or yawn, it'll open to equalize that pressure. Otherwise, if the pressure builds up, then it could puncture the membrane, the tympanic membrane. Okay. So those are the three features that you see there. There can be inflammation in the middle ear, which we call otitis media. It's more recognizable and occurs mainly in children. Let me show these two pictures here. With the kid, the Eustachian tube, here we'll call it by the old name, Eustachian tube, is more lateral in a way. It's not as much angulation as in the adult, and it's narrower. So it's easier for things to build up in that middle ear. And it's easier for, if you had a throat infection, a pharyngitis, or nasopharyngitis, to walk up this tube in the kid and be right there. So pharyngitis can lead to an ear infection. But you can see it's harder for this area to clear in the kid because it's not a good drop down, and the tube is narrower there. Shorter, more horizontal, as you can see. Most frequent hearing loss in kids. Antibiotics, or sometimes you have to put a tube in. Now right here, this would be acute otitis media pulling on this area here. Here's a normal eardrum, and sometimes antibiotics don't work, so you have to do a myringotomy. The myrin is also another name for that eardrum. And here would be a tube to kind of drain that out. Sometimes you have to have a tube to do that, to relieve this in here, to let it out. Okay. Okay, in the middle ear are three bones, and what these little small bones do is the eardrum vibrates, pushes on the bones, and then that that vibration is impedance matched, and then it pushes on this, which pushes on the uh, oval window that leads into the inner ear. So the three bones in the tympanic, malleus, incus, and stapes, suspended by ligaments and joined by synovial joints, transmit vibratory motion to the eardrum to the oval window. And then you have a couple of muscles that's going to be involved. But before we do that, let's look at where the terms came from. So I showed here, there's the eardrum. Here's the hammer, the malleus. See, like that right there? A guy that's uh, dealing with metal. Here's the anvil, which is this structure here. And then, of course, here's the stirrup. And that's where the names came from, the shape that the first guy saw when he gave a description to these and gave the name. Okay. So here are those three bones, malleus, incus, stapes. Malleus, incus, stapes. Now, when we look at those, we'll go further here. We have a couple of muscles, skeletal muscles associated. We have a tensor tympani muscle, which is hooking to the malleus, and we have a stapedius muscle, which is hooking to the stapes there. And what happens is that when loud sounds occur, these can contract and minimize the damage to the anatomical structures that could result in hearing loss, shall we say. I wanted you to note that the anterior aspect of the middle ear is very close to this internal carotid artery here that you see. See that anatomy there? So you see problems could occur if something happened since you're so close there. I wanted to bring that out. Hey class, I'm going to close here and then I'm going to start a new video to look at the internal ear. A new video to look at the internal ear.